Ladies and gentlemen, Darkseid here, man. I'm back with another video, and today I am going to be rambling, absolutely yapping about everything that I feel about Undisputed's gameplay in its current state right now. So if you like yapping, you like rambling, you like listening to that, go ahead and tune in, man. Let's get to it. Oh boy, let me put some music on. This is going to probably be a long one. I don't know how long this is going to be. Let me make sure I'm comfortable. Got some music on. Y'all see who's in the back. You know I'm about to talk that real. All right, so I'm doing this all off the top of my head. I have no script or nothing like that. There's not gonna be no fancy edits in this video, nothing like that. I'm just speaking from the heart, man. Just speaking from the heart. So if I forget anything, or if you guys find anything that I forgot to talk about, just make sure to put it in the comments down below, and I'll respond to you guys down there. Cause I'm pretty sure we have a lot of the same issues with the game at this point, right? Like, there's no secrets about this game right now, right? Everybody knows what the issues are. So let's talk about those issues, man. Where do I even start? This video is probably gonna be so long, dog. I hope not, because I'm just gonna be talking. I might throw some gameplay in the background or something, dog. It's gonna be a long video. Let's begin, man. Undisputed. How did we get to where we are right now? I cannot reasonably tell anybody who asks me if this game is a good game, should they buy this? I can't tell them with certainty in my heart that they need to buy this game because it's a good game. Because realistically, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Do I think it's a good game right now? No, I don't. I don't think it's a good game right now. I mean, I've played bad games before and enjoyed it. You're probably asking yourself, why do I still play? I still enjoy it personally, but you have to remember, I'm a hardcore boxing fan, and I love boxing video games. I love combat sports video games overall, but specifically boxing video games. I've played very bad games in the past, and sometimes I enjoy playing bad games, and to me, right now, where Undisputed is at, I wouldn't categorize it as a good game. I'm not saying it's a bad game. We've been asking since early access release, so it's been over a year now. Early access release, we've had two huge issues with the game: body uppercuts, backstep crosses. We're now a year and about like a month into early access, and we have two major issues in the game: backstep crosses and body uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time coming. Like, we've been patient, we've waited, we've hoped for the best, and certain stuff has just not gotten fixed. Now, I preface this by saying, that doesn't mean that they never touched anything, right? They have fixed certain stuff here and there, but the issue I have is that we're getting news now coming out that things are shifting towards console release. You know, updates are dialing back, and I just fail to see how we're getting to a point where we think we need to be putting the focus towards console release when core issues in the game haven't even been fixed yet. You know what I mean? Like, backstep crosses and body uppercuts haven't been fixed yet. The PC community hasn't tested it yet to see if the fix that they're working on behind the scenes is even going to work. Things like that kind of make it seem like, where are we at, right? Like, we've been patient, we've been waiting. Stuff is still broken in the game. Online is a nightmare right now. Desync Palooza online right now. It's nuts. 3 punches from a power puncher or elite punchers, like anybody like 90 up, couple punches from them and you're rocked. Like, I used to be able to survive with George Davey online against like Canelo, Sugar Ray Robinsons, if I was able to box smart and not take a lot of damage. And now I can box as smart as I want. If I eat like 3 punches, I'm rocked, basically. I mean, that's nuts. Online is in arguably one of the worst states it's ever been in. So you have that going for you. I mean, you got the spam issue now because they reverted it back to what we think was like the beta 2 version of the game. You have the spam issue back. There's no same side recovery frames for punches, so you can just spam crazy hooks. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. Fighter balancing. Fighters are just, if you're not using a top tier boxer, you're pretty much dead in the water. You have to fight 10 times as hard to beat a bum using a high rated fighter. If using even a mid tier, I'm not even talking about low tier, I'm talking about mid tier. Using mid tier against a high tier, and the high tier could be a bum, you're probably losing that fight. Now, that's sad to say, honestly. That really is sad to say, but it just goes to show you what the game caters to right now, honestly. You go on Twitch and watch Undisputed, 90% of the Twitch streamers are bums and bots spamming body uppercuts and backstep crosses. It's so rare to find somebody actually trying to box in this game right now. It's actually sickening. So I don't know where they're really trying to go with the full release of the game right now. Lots of questions around there. I still have hope for the game to get to where it could be. I still hope it can reach its potential. But man, it's like, it's hard for me to tell you guys, you know, we're going to be fine. It's going to be fine when it's been like a year and two of the main issues in the game are still just as bad as they were when early access dropped. You know what I'm saying? I have to be realistic with y'all. I have to be realistic with myself at a certain point in time. Now, to be honest with you, on that note, no matter how bad this game is, I'm definitely gonna be playing it regardless. That's just what I am. It's what I do. I play bad games. If the game's bad, but I have the passion for the game, I would still play it regardless. What the roster has, I'm still gonna play it regardless. But I can admit to you guys that the game is not good at the same time. That's the difference. I don't have to lie to you guys and tell you the game is something that's not, just because I want to keep playing it. I can tell you guys two things can be true. I can be a sick man for wanting to keep playing the game regardless, and the game cannot be good to certain people. That's perfectly fine. There's just a lot of things that they need to work on fixing before it gets to full release, in my opinion. Same side punch recovery frames needs to be one of them. Like, if you guys really want to like blow your brains and just like have a nightmare, you guys really want to think about something so scary, go use Rocky Marciano in heavyweight. Stand Rocky Marciano on one side and stand Tyson Fury on the other side, and slowly move them towards each other and keep jabbing to see how close their jabs are together. Now, obviously Fury has a longer reach, so his jab's gonna hit you first, but that's not the point. See how close they are, because punch ranges in this game and fighters' reach, like physical traits overall, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I mean, we're literally playing a boxing game where hooks have the same reach as jabs, uppercuts have the same reach as jabs. It's literally nuts. It is nuts that that's still a thing, and that looks like it's going to be a thing for full release. It's absolutely crazy. I hope that's not the case, because that's just unacceptable. The ability to fight with your jab is so limited in this game because hooks beat your jab, uppercuts beat your jab, and it makes no sense. And on top of that, if your jab actually does land, the jab is weak. So even if it lands, it's pretty weak still. There's just a lot of things this game caters to that it really shouldn't. You just have people spamming just left and right, nothing but bots. Pressure fighting in this game. Pressure fighting. Since the very first time I played this game, I said this is going to be a runner-dominated meta. There's going to be runner galore, because there's basically no way to cut off the ring effectively. One, there's no way to cut off the ring effectively. Two, on the scorecards, if you're the one pressuring and you're getting touched more, but you're doing more damage, it seems like the judges don't take into account any type of damage. So if you get outlanded, but you did more damage, oh well, you got outlanded. You lost a round, basically. Three, you just don't get rewarded for your punches, period, as a pressure fighter. When you're a pressure fighter and you cut off the ring against somebody, and you finally land that big shot, you should feel rewarded. Like, you really have to work for that. So when you get on the inside, you should be able to do some damage. But unfortunately in this game, they make it so easy to just escape from every angle possible. It is so hard to track somebody down, and it's just completely dominated by the outside fighter, as it's been since day one. And there's really been no buff towards the pressure fighter, or a nerf really towards the outside fighter. Essentially, they recently just put in the 40% stam tag, so that your movement will go into the slower movement. It's like the old school movement animation if you drop below 40% stam. But think about how far into the fight that is. You could have lost all those rounds now. Now, even with the person's stam lower, their power does not decrease. Their power doesn't scale with their stam, so they're going to hit just as hard. They punch just as fast. Only thing that's different is they can't punch as in many combinations because their stam's lower, which is another L. Makes no sense. Let's keep going, man. What are we talking about next? It's a lot of things when it comes to pressure fighting, right? The magnetism that happens when you get into the pocket, that doesn't seem to really help anybody right now. If anything, it just helps the spammers and the bots, because the pacing of the game is so fast. Footwork speed is so fast. The movement speed is so fast. It just makes it so difficult to actually walk somebody down, actually cut off the ring effectively. We've been asking for scaled down movement for I don't know how long at this point. Scaled down movement needs to be a thing. They need to scale down the game speed. It's just too fast. I don't care what nobody who says in this game is telling y'all. The game speed is too fast. It is too fast. It makes it impossible to be a pressure fighter in this game and really walk somebody down effectively. When you have people like Deontay Wilder and Joe Frazier being able to fight from the outside and just stroll around the ring, like, you have an issue with the game. There is an issue with the game. Where do we go next? Head movement. Slips, weave, and diagonal dodges. The slips in this game, they're just not worth using in my opinion. I rarely will ever slip in this game. It's just not worth it right now. There really is no benefit to it in my opinion. Because when you slip, you basically have to reset to the center position before you throw a counter. Even though if you slip to the same side that you throw the punch, it comes out a little bit faster, but it's still so like disjointed in my opinion. It's not worth even going for. It doesn't feel fluid enough still in my opinion. That's a big issue as well. The weave to me is better overall than the slipping is. I like using the weave a lot more. But even with the weave, with how the way the punch tracking is in the game, if you're weaving in the pocket, you're still likely to get hit by a lot of shots. If really what I use the weave for is if I'm a little bit on the outside of the pocket and I'll weave from that range, it's usually a little bit safer. But inside the pocket, since the tracking is so high, you usually get hit by everything. Unfortunately, they still need to dial back the tracking. Diagonal dodges. There's no reason that Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder need to be doing peekaboo style diagonal dodges, rolls under punches. It makes no sense. The whole animation itself, it's not a good animation in my opinion. It's just not. It doesn't look natural. It looks like it's just not supposed to be in a boxing ring. It just doesn't look natural at all. It's just, I don't think it has a place in there personally. They need to redo the animation or change something, man. It's something has to change there. It's just not right. Angles. Yes, angles. And I'm not talking about the Twitch streamer that has a cheeser. I'm talking about cutting angles in a boxing ring. In a boxing ring. We used to be able to cut angles in the betas. In the betas, you were actually able to get to the side of your opponent a little bit, and even sometimes a little bit more than that, if you cut the angle at the proper time. But that basically got eliminated in early access. It's never returned. We still don't have it now. It's just, it makes the game very linear, which is a shame since you have such a good fluid movement. I think they need to make that a big priority as well. People like Lomachenko, Usyk, they're just not going to feel like themselves if they're in the game, in a game where they can't cut angles. It doesn't make any sense. So I definitely think that needs to improve. Boy, there's just so much. Speaking of Lomachenko, let's dive into there. Lomachenko is one of the worst boxers in this game. Like, I know it sounds crazy, I know. But Lomachenko is one of the worst boxers in this game. His punches, the tracking on his punches are awful. Absolutely awful. It is a shame that got greenlit to go into the game where you can barely land a punch with him. Like, that's not no exaggeration. He's in the game right now. His punches, just some reason, just come up short in so many aspects. I don't know why he's in the game right now, honestly. I've never used Lomachenko ever. I tried him when he first got into the game. I played him for maybe about 5 or 6 games, trying to make a video on him. Literally could barely land my punches, so I just stopped using him altogether. I don't even use him at all, which is a shame because I was so excited for him to be in the game. I feel like he's a big marquee name. For him to be that bad in the game makes no sense. I would probably say his pick rate is probably one of the lowest in that division. Of like the known names, of course. But yeah, he's definitely someone who needs to be looked at. Bud Crawford needs to be looked at. Generic moveset, generic movement. Doesn't feel like Bud Crawford. Just feels like a Bud Crawford Fortnite skin. Sugar Ray Leonard, man. Sugar Ray Leonard is a sleeper, like, super disrespected legend in the game, I feel like. He feels pretty generic in a lot of ways. I don't know if he was actually Mocapped or not. It doesn't feel like it. He feels generic. Doesn't even feel like Sugar Ray Leonard. Really doesn't feel fast. Doesn't even have the punches and bunches trait. Doesn't have lightning hands, I don't think. Just feels like he's not Sugar Ray Leonard, to keep it a buck. Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali's jab, the forward moving jab. One, I would like Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali to have slightly different punches because they did not punch exactly the same, in my personal opinion. That's just me, but I can understand why they did it. But me personally, I like them separated as far as fighter uniqueness goes. It's just, especially since Larry Holmes is one of my favorite boxers, of course, that's what I would want. But that forward moving jab that they have, their jab is not dominant in all of this game. Like, the jab overall isn't a dominant punch in this game when it should be. But Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes' jab, like, it should be one of the best jabs in the game by far, and it's not even close in my opinion. I love jabbing in this game, but I hate that jab. I hate the standard jab that they have. The forward moving jab is probably the worst jab in this game. It is just, it's just a bad animation. The tracking is awful. It's like you're punching upwards, like an up jab. It just looks bad. It doesn't land properly. It just needs. I think they need to work on that and fix that as well. All right, man. Let's keep going. What's next? Graphics. We can talk about graphics real quick. Overall, it's clear as day. The graphics have definitely been downgraded from what we were shown early on. During the early game trailers, it's clear that the graphics are not the same. They've definitely been downgraded. They've talked about how they've been. They've talked about how the graphics have been changed because of the camera angles, which to me that is not the case. It's definitely not the camera angles. It's the graphics overall have been downgraded. Now they've said they're going to try to get back to what the graphics used to look like, if that's what people prefer, which they obviously know at this point. That's what people prefer. We prefer the graphics that looked a lot better during the early game trailers. The graphics were more vibrant, the atmosphere felt more alive. The fighter models looked better. Just everything looks better, man. Let's keep it a bug. It just looked better. And that's just something that we have to deal with. That's been downgraded. It's clear as day. I'd like it to be better than what it is right now. I'm not saying the graphics right now are bad by any means. I don't think they're bad graphics right now, but I definitely think that the game looked better before, surely. Going off that same thing of like previous trailers, right? We had things that were in the game that are no longer in the game right now, like the adrenaline system. I don't think the adrenaline system has ever properly worked. I don't even know if it was ever really in the game previously. I don't know if they've officially just scrapped that and it's never to return. That's something that kind of just got like thrown out, I guess. We never heard nothing more about that adrenaline system. Before I get too deep in this video, I want to shout out a couple of people from the community because I feel like we've given a lot of feedback on the game. Tons and tons of feedback from different people. Tons and tons of people just giving feedback. And it seems like until recent, all our feedback was just going nowhere. We weren't really being heard like that. Or our feedback was just getting lost in the mail, something like that, man. But just a couple of guys, not to say that nobody else has contributed. This just guys off the top of my head I could just name for you guys. People like A Shade of Gray. A Shade of Gray in the Discord has probably contributed the most to like the fighter feedback channel. Like different stats for different traits for different fighters, what they should be and things like that. He's definitely contributed the most by far. And if they would just even listen to 25% of his suggestions by now, the game would be in a better state as far as fighter uniqueness and like the fighters feeling like how the fighters should fight, right? Because he's very good at like really giving you detailed like lists, like this is what trait this person should have, what level they should have, what their stats should increase or decrease by. And I'm not saying they gotta take his word as gospel, but they could at least go based off of some of that stuff because it makes sense what he's saying. It's realistic. He's giving you real examples of why they should or shouldn't have certain stats. And I feel like we haven't even gotten a stat adjustment in so long. Like, what is going on with that? You know what I mean? Like, we should be getting these things. At least one. We can't even get one fighter that's fixed stat-wise. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. Like, this all comes up when you hear stuff like, we're getting prepared for console release. Like, for them to say that, you're making it seem like, okay, the game's in a pretty good state. We're all getting ready for release now. Like, all right, if you say that, then things like this are going to happen. Now the critiques are going to come out. Because now you're making it seem like the product is ready when we don't think that it is. And you need to be very careful with your next steps. So if you're going to console, because if this is what you want to carry over the console, with some of these similar issues, the game is going to get ate up by the console fan base. So I'm just putting that out there. I want the game to succeed, so that's why you're hearing it from me. But if you put this on console, even let's say you fix 10 to 15% of the stuff that's wrong with the game right now. I don't even think that's enough to be talking about console right now, me personally. But let me go back into who I was talking about. So we talked about Shade of Gray. Shouts to him. Shoutouts to Tio and J Soba. I think Tio and J Soba, if you're really in the community for real, you should know who Tio and J Soba are. If you don't, two guys who've been contributing from the beginning, constant feedback, wanted the game to be great. Obviously, over time, they got as frustrated as the rest of us with certain stuff not getting fixed, and the game going in a direction we didn't think that the game should be going in. But those are two OGs, two dudes who've given great feedback over the years. Just great guys, real knowledgeable. And then they all contribute in different ways. J Soba and Tio were basically private investigators for us, where we wanted to find out more information on the game. They knew where the bodies were buried. They find stuff we would never see, and they brought it to us, man. It was fun times there. But it's things like that, right? Like, we've been giving feedback for so long. They've been giving feedback for so long. Stuff is still broken. Those things haven't been fixed. It's hard to really name what has been fixed during early access for over an entire year span. What's made the game better? It's hard to really say that. And it shouldn't be that hard to say what's made the game better when there's been so much constant feedback. Now the game has gotten slightly better, I will say. It's not as bad as it was in the beginning. It's slightly better now. Damage and stamina before this last patch at least was in a better spot that I thought they could build off of. Not in the spot where it's time to go to console, but in the spot where they could have built off of, man. Bradley Son 001. Brad's giving them a lot of feedback, man. He's giving them constant feedback on things they can improve on. And he has really good ideas. And I think that if they go back and look, they should really look at some of the stuff he's been saying. It would make the game better. That's another one. Shout out to Brad, man. Goldie Gunn. Goldie's been giving them constant feedback. Goldie's been a trooper in there through the ups and downs. He's stuck in there. Still be trying to give actionable feedback. He's trying to get Patrick Recall's actual gold trunks in the game, the actual gold material. He's been trying, man. He's fighting for his boy Pat. I wish him the best of luck. And of course, I couldn't go without saying one of the unsung heroes as far as keep pressuring Steel City to fix some of the issues and keep reminding them of the issues. Pablito 15. Yes, Pablito. Unsung hero, giving them plenty of feedback, has probably the best categorized feedback, like categorized sorting of feedback overall, with different things that are bugged in the game, different things that aren't working properly, things that need to be fixed. Definitely has the best categorization of that so far from what I've seen. And he's constantly, you know, tweaking things, looking to see what's been improved, what's not been improved, talking about what's been fixed, updates back, now that's regressed, constantly giving them feedback. Another true GOAT in the Discord. Now I say all that to say this. Is this game ready for console or full release? In my opinion, no. It's not. I think right now, it's 2020, beginning of 2024, I think they should be looking more around 2025, maybe like December 2025, sometime in that fall area, winter, as far as full release goes. Now, do I think it's going to take that long for full release? Unfortunately, probably not, but I think it should, honestly. It really should. I don't think the game's ready right now to be going the full release or console release. It's not ready, in my opinion. There's, like, it's been a year. There's the two core issues are still core issues. So obviously, I don't think the game is ready. I'd be a lunatic to think the game is ready right now. And I just think they need to decide what they're going to fix and just tell us what's not going to get fixed and what they think they can fix at this point. Because the guessing game, the waiting going back and forth, it is getting old for a lot of people. And it's making people worried that a lot of the issues that the game has is not going to get fixed. And rightfully so. That's a valid thought to have right now. Because it's been a while and there's still plenty of issues in game that we are dealing with. Right? So, at this point, the ball is in Steel City's court. They could push to go for full release or console release. They could push for that and the game might end up being a disaster, to keep it frank. Because if this goes to console, close to the state that it's in right now, it's going to be a nightmare. Now, in the beginning, people will love it. It's new box the game on console. People have been waiting. But as they play it, their experience will be degraded. You're talking about putting a game on console where the console players have been playing Fight Night Champion for years. They've been playing with big heavy hitters like Mike Tyson, Isaac Frost. Rocky Marciano in that game is more of a walk you down, beat you down type of boxer than more so than he is in Undisputed, since you can't really pressure fight in Undisputed. And they like the flashy knockouts. They like being able to actually put punches together with fluidity and get big damage on their opponent. And in this game right now, as a pressure fighter at least, that's not a reality. It's almost impossible to be a good player as a pressure fighter. There's a reason you never see pressure fighting in all these content releases by Steel City. There's a reason pressure fighting isn't really at the forefront of any of that. So right now I feel like there's just a major imbalance when it comes to pressure fighting versus outside fighting. And it's such a huge gap. It's just, it needs to be worked on before a full release is thought about. It's just too much of a gap to release that to a grand audience right now, I feel like. It's just too big of a gap. It's not even close to being balanced. We're not even talking about fighter balancing overall. I'm just talking about that style versus style. It's not balanced. It's too hard to fight as a pressure fighter. Way too hard. Way harder than it should be. Now we can talk real quickly about career mode overall. This video is already going to be too long, but apologies for me just rambling on about this, but this is something I want to talk about for a while. Career mode was cool. Career mode is cool for the most part, but it all dials back to the gameplay, right? The gameplay isn't in a good spot. Career mode is only going to do so much for you, right? I do like where they're going with career mode. I think it's pretty innovative. I like some of the stuff that they did. I like a little bit more immersion. I feel like at a certain point it just becomes schedule fight, fight, schedule fight, fight, and there's really nothing else to it. Nothing more to it. Fighters not progressing throughout career mode is a major thing. I feel like things like that are obvious though, like pretty obvious. Fighters getting worse too fast as you progress. By the time you get to the top, you're fighting like bum versions of fighters. I think that should be fixed. Fighters being too good in the beginning. Like, I understand that Undisputed difficulty is meant to be hard, but make the AI better. Make the AI smarter. Don't give me 70 overalls with 90 speed, like 97 speed. I mean, at least if you're going to do that, give me the opportunity with my own fighter to have stats that high in the beginning. If you're not going to give me stats somewhere close to that range in the beginning, then there's no point for my opponents to have cracked stats like that in the beginning. It makes no sense. Like, you'd be fighting somebody with 90 power and they're like a 74 overall. That would be fine if you can have like 80 something early on in your career, but you can't. So you're literally going in there with like 50 and 60 stats against people with like 90s and 80 plus. Like, it makes no sense. A little bit of a stat boost to increase difficulty is fine, but that being the base of how difficult a game is, just by juicing up stats in the fighter, it doesn't work for me. Overall though, I did enjoy my career mode experience. Some stuff I definitely want changed a little bit more than others. I've given some feedback on that. I'm not gonna go too into depth with that, obviously, because the video's already been so long. But I just want to make sure I get that in there as well. I love the character creator. I think it's pretty in-depth and people really enjoyed it so far. I made some cool creations. I like a little bit more variance in there though as well. Like, I'm always gonna ask for more, right? But they did a good job with the character creator. That was a real bright spot of the last patch. With that being said, man, I hope this video just gave you guys my thoughts on some of the stuff I've been thinking about. It's just hard to put this all into words, right, when I'm trying to really formulate everything that I want to talk about in one go. So I probably missed something. If I did, just let me know in the comment section below, like I mentioned. But to answer the base questions, I don't think this game is ready for release. I think it needs to release like at the later part of next year. It probably won't. It will probably release with some of the same issues that are in the game right now. Which will be okay in a way if they can fix some of the major things that plague the game right now. If they can do that, then the game can still, live up to its potential. It still has a bright future. It just needs some of the stuff ironed out. But if the game does not get those things ironed out, that future becomes bleak very quickly. So I would suggest to Steel City Interactive, test this game. Look at that feedback that people have been giving you all these months in early access. Action some of those items, fix some of those things. Test them again, fix some more things, then think about full release and console release. Because in the game state that is right now, you can't even box properly. Boxing is like a sure way to get yourself knocked out or defeated in this game right now, which is completely ass backwards from how it should be. So definitely look into that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling with all of my thoughts on the game so far. And if you did, make sure to leave a like down below. Also, comment down below what you guys think of the game so far, the game state, and the future of the game. Do you think we're going up? Do you think we're going down? Are we cooked? Or are Steel City going to cook for us, man? With that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you next one. Take it easy.